Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a romance drama series called Maxton Hall from 2024. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. Episode 3 opens with Ruby anxiously looking at the limousine that's waiting for her in front of her house. By this point, her family has also noticed the car, and they're outside talking with James and his staff. Ruby comes downstairs and her mom asks her why she didn't inform her that she has to go to London. Ruby tells her mom why she's going there. Her mom still can't trust them, so she tells Ruby to call her immediately if something happens. In the car, Ruby and James chat about their college life. James tells her to share something about herself that no one else knows at the college. She tells him that she's the first from her family to go to college, so being able to dream of attending Oxford one day is a very big blessing for her. James smiles upon hearing this. He seems happy for her. The driver suddenly presses the brake, and James's sketchbook falls from the seat. Ruby picks it up and sees the beautiful sketches James has done. James snatches it back from her hand out of embarrassment. They finally arrive at the collection showroom. Ruby and James are greeted warmly by the staff. Ruby is in awe of the collection. She takes some pictures of the dress for their poster. She sends the pictures to the committee group, and everyone is amazed by the dress and also Ruby's effort to make it a success. After she's done taking pictures, James suggests that she try the dress because she might not get another chance like this. Ruby hesitates but agrees to do so only if James dresses up too. Ruby finally gets the dress on. She comes down the stairs looking like a Victorian princess. James agrees with this statement too. He's in awe of her. He quickly grabs her and tells the staff to take some pictures because her parents should see this too. James and Ruby then give some cute poses, and the staff takes lots of pictures. James takes her hand and kisses it in a proper Victorian manner. Slowly, they start to come closer and are about to kiss when James's family bursts into the room. His father is furious as to why he was there instead of being at the dinner party with the Ellingtons. Ruby is taken aback by his parents' sudden arrival. She introduces herself to his parents. His dad starts mocking her, saying the dress doesn't suit her and it's too tight on her. Moreover, he tells her it's not for someone like her because it's a queen's dress. Ruby is on the verge of tears. She quickly runs upstairs to get changed. After coming back downstairs, Ruby tries to give a proper reply to them and leaves. The car was waiting for her to take her home, but she would rather take the train. The scene changes to Ruby having breakfast with her family. They can clearly sense that she's upset about something, but they are too scared to discuss anything when she's in such a bad mood. Ruby finishes her breakfast and leaves for college. After entering, she notices a big poster of James and her that they took while wearing those outfits. Everyone, especially the girls, is giving her ugly stares. Ruby can't control herself, and she goes straight to James and demands an answer. Ruby tells him to come with her as they need to have a talk. Ruby asks him why he did such a thing when he knows that she doesn't want to be the center of attention here. James gives the excuse that they looked good in the pictures, and it might be a good design for the poster too. Ruby is understandably not satisfied with his answer, and tells him in an upset voice that it was better before when he didn't know that she existed. Ruby then goes inside the college to freshen up. She feels like drowning and can't see any light. Lynn follows her and asks what happened. Ruby tells her what happened with James's parents. Ruby, at the height of her emotional breakdown, tells Lynn that if her family's economic condition hadn't collapsed, she also wouldn't have talked to Ruby. Lynn gets disappointed by how Ruby thinks of her as a friend, so she leaves the room. Ruby then gets ready to go to class. After she enters the class, everyone keeps staring at her. The new teacher calls her to explain why she should be accepted at Oxford. Ruby is anxious and nervous. She keeps getting flashbacks of what has been happening with James. Moreover, two boys keep making fun of her responses, and Ruby runs away from the class sobbing. Ruby goes straight home and sees that her dad is sobbing, and a plate of cream puffs is scattered on the floor. Her dad tells her that he was just trying to do something for her mom as it's their 20th anniversary, but he wasn't able to pick them up from the floor no matter how much he tried. Ruby picks them up for him and even assures him that she'll keep this a secret from her mom. Ruby then notices James standing outside their house. She goes outside to talk with him. James tells her he's sorry for what happened the previous day. Ruby thinks that he did this because he was embarrassed by her in front of his parents, but James tells her that's not the case. Instead, he is embarrassed of himself for not being able to stand up for her. He adds that his friends are nice if she gets to know them, or better yet, comes to their parties. But Ruby makes it clear to him that their world is different than hers, and she would like to be invisible to them. But James reminds her that she is not invisible anymore, at least not to him. After James leaves, Ruby's mom and sister come back to the house. They hand her the clothing bag that was hanging outside their house. It has the Beaufort logo on it. Ruby takes it upstairs and sees that it contains the dress that she wore in the poster. A note is also added with the dress. In it, James tells her that this dress was made for her far too earlier, approximately 200 years ago. She looked too beautiful in that dress, and he thinks that she should be the rightful owner of the dress. Meanwhile, James is with his parents after they're done with the meeting with the Ellingtons. They're finally ready to invest in the young Beaufort project. After his parents greet them goodbye, James's dad has a little chat with him. He tells him that he did well with the Ellingtons. He also tells James that what he did in the collection showroom the previous day was for his own good, because this type of girl gets confused when they are faced with a society like this. James asks him if he also faced confusion, because this is James's mom's company. His dad gets furious upon hearing this, and tells him not to talk like this until he has contributed to the business like him. James suggests making Lydia the heir instead of him, because the new project idea was also hers. But his dad doesn't think she is capable because of her habit of making mistakes every now and then. He then tells James to take responsibility and make them proud. The scene changes to Ruby walking through campus when she notices the new teacher. She tells her she's sorry for what she did in her class. The teacher tells her that if she wants to reach the top, she has to put herself out there and face people's judgment. Ruby now understands this. She assures her that this won't happen again. Meanwhile, Lynn is in the lab room doing some work. Two girls are talking about Ruby. She goes up to them and defends Ruby. After Cyril and the other boy leave, Ruby comes inside the lab and asks Lynn whether she needs a partner. Lynn accepts her request, and they start working. Ruby tells her she's sorry for thinking like that about Lynn. Lynn assures her that it's not her fault, because she might have continued being a shitty person if her dad hadn't lost his job. Ruby and Lynn then laugh together. Ruby tells Lynn that James has invited her to the party. Lynn is excited for Ruby and James and asks whether she's going. Ruby tells her she won't go, but Lynn convinces her to go to the party anyway. The scene changes to the party. Everyone is drinking and dancing. James is also drinking, but he's standing alone in a corner. Elaine notices him and follows him inside the house. She sits beside him and holds his hand. She tells him that she can feel his pain because she's also from a family like his. But she assures him that they're struggling for themselves, and soon the family businesses will be theirs. James seems less interested in her and more interested in Ruby, who's walking in the middle of the party cluelessly. Ruby gets inside the party, and Lydia approaches her. Lydia is quite drunk, and she starts blaming Ruby for her breakup. Ruby tells her she's sorry, but Lydia doesn't care about that. Instead, she warns Ruby not to play with James's heart because James and Lydia look out for each other. After Lydia leaves, James comes up from behind and grabs Ruby. They start moving their bodies to the music. Slowly, James grabs Ruby's waist when Elaine comes and pours her drink on Ruby intentionally. Ruby tells her thanks because it was just getting hot in here. They then leave the house. James leaves Ruby to get his jacket when Cyril and his lackeys start teasing her. Finally, Cyril grabs her and throws her in the pool. Ruby starts drowning and everybody is enjoying this. Some are even filming the incident. James is shocked by what happened, and he also jumps in the pool. Ruby gets flashbacks of another incident where she drowned, and a man was trying to save her but couldn't. But James pulls her out of the water while holding her in his arms. Everyone is still filming, and James leaves the party after giving Cyril an upset look. James takes her to his car and quickly puts his jacket on her. He tells Percy to give a warm blanket to Ruby. In the car, James sits beside Ruby and holds her hand. Ruby starts sobbing and tells him that when she was little, she fell into a lake, and her dad also jumped in to save her. But before he could, a boat came out of nowhere and hit him, making him wheelchair-bound. Ruby starts blaming herself for what happened to her dad. James hugs her, and Ruby falls asleep in James's arms. They finally arrive at the house, but Ruby is still asleep, so Percy asks whether they should circle around the block again. James is confused by these overwhelming emotions and doesn't know what to do. That's how today's thrilling episode ends. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.